Hey guys, Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Another day in the fish room, thinking up some crazy things. You know, I've been having trouble deciding what project I want to work on. Somehow I'm just not motivated to do the racks at the other side today. I mean, maybe I'll do it, but I feel like I want to innovate something, and that's, you know, where it's pushing me. So yeah, I could totally set up some more tanks, but I don't know, for some reason I'm just not compelled to do it. Like, that's, you know, I come in here and I look at it and I go, yeah, I gotta drill and paint tanks and, you know, things like that. Let me turn the light on here. So I just, you know, I thought maybe, okay, maybe today, maybe I just do this one rack over here, and I could totally get that going. But I feel like I'm gonna end up tinkering with an idea I've had for a long time, and I didn't invent it, I've just seen it happen. So let me talk about what I'm thinking about and go from there. So I've got these big totes in here, and I feel like I'm wasting a lot of vertical space, okay? So what that means is, like, yeah, there's 275 gallons of water down here, but above it, there's nothing, right? You know, so while yes, 300 gallons of water, roughly, I could fit more if I was to go more vertical. And so what I'm thinking is this. I've seen it done in wholesale facilities where they'll put a tank like on the metal here, because the metal's pretty stout, and they'll just put it right over the tank, or right over this, you know, stock tank here. So they'll put it so that, let's say, you know, you got a 75 gallon and it comes out to here or something, about half this tank worth or a third of this tank worth, and you can run a whole row of them. Well, yeah, I could do that, but what I'm thinking is possibly doing small tanks and using it as a recirculating system. Now, I haven't figured that exact part out yet, but basically, if I put small tanks up above it, and I had all this water down low here, in theory it's going to share all the water, right? And it's going to require me to build small recirculating systems, and I'm thinking possibly putting like 4 or 5, depending on which way I orient the tote. I could do 4 or 5 of them. So I've got a tote out here that I haven't even started playing out with yet. This is the one that was in the fish room that I used for changing water. It was my old water storage, and you know, so I'm thinking about playing with this, because there's even these stabilizer bars too that I could utilize. So maybe I'll do some measuring there and see if that helps me or hurts me, or, you know. So I'm gonna start playing with that. If I come up with something good, you'll see it. If I come up with something bad, I'll briefly chime in on it and go, oh, that ain't gonna work. But, you know, I'm thinking I could start testing this project kind of right where this chair is, get the tote here, and you know, I'm thinking, okay, so let's say I put a tote here, and then I get another tote like right here. You know, that's about the extent of probably what I could do, but in this room there's 2 totes, and then I could retrofit these if it worked. You know, that being said, half of me is like, oh man, maybe I should just, you know, retrofit one of these that are already running, but that doesn't get me more water, so I'm going to try starting here, and we'll see where we go. Alright, so I think I've come up with my crazy project of the day. Very similar to what I was thinking, but slightly different. I get to use that Zoom Ed frag tank, and the more I sat here, which, you know, I sat here for a good 20 minutes or so, just thinking, it's going to be a lot harder than I want it to be, and the troubles I'm going to go through, I'll show you. So right over here, we've got the tote. We've got the 4 foot by 2 foot by like 10-inch tall tank. Okay, the problem is my floor is sloped a bit, so it doesn't sit on there perfectly. I figure I have to put some wood in between the tank and the metal there, so I'll cut some 2x4s. I need to drill this tank, and what I'm thinking is this. So I've got roughly, let's say, 250 gallons of water by the time I lower the water level and stuff in here. And that's 50 gallons up there, so 300 gallons. What if I was to recirculate the water, so have a pump down below, pump water up into here and have it, overflow out. And I'm thinking maybe I could keep blackworms alive. And I'm not sure I'd be able to, breed them in there, but I might be able to keep them alive, because right now, like at the store, I currently have to store tons in refrigerators. And my thought is possibly, if I can keep this water cold enough with, like, let's say a chiller or something like that, I have no idea yet. But if I kept goldfish, or let's say a turtle down here or something like that, well, the turtle's not going to work because it can't go that cold. But the more you talk through things, the more you realize nothing works. But let's say it's koi or goldfish. I recirculate the water up. I'm thinking maybe the muck they create in the water, the filter feeding blackworms might be able to eat. Let's say that plan totally doesn't work and it's just a giant waste of time. Then I'm thinking we can do cherry shrimp or something up here, and all the coals, I could just be like, oh, net it out, feed it to the goldfish, or turtles, or whatever. So it kind of lets me start using one of these tanks. It also gives me some elevated space. And then the thing that I'm running into here is where to plug something in. Currently, my closest places to plug, like, let's say a power head in would be up on the ceiling here, which, it could be done, but I'm going to have to run an extension cord. Or the other side of, I've got one down on the floor there, and then I've also got one up over here for the water change system. No worries, I just knocked over my little ladder. But I'm thinking I need to drain drill the tank over in this corner, since it's going to be a little bit lower. Because if I drain it in that corner, this corner could overflow. So I already realized it's going to be a visible line here, which I hate. That drives me nuts. But I'm not sure I can avoid it. The tote itself is not completely level, but I think with wood I can fix that. The other thing I'm not sure if I'm going to love is the fact that I'm only going to have this much room to catch a fish out of, like once I cut all this out, where normally I have tons of room. I've got the entire length of, this whole tote to catch out of. So yeah, either way, really, I need to get water kind of going into this tote, just because there's no reason not to. And so I might try this setup and to see how it goes. Worst case scenario, I've got a Zoom Ed tank drilled, and we'll see how that goes. So that's my crazy project for the day at this point, unless I just really get into it and go, this really isn't going to work. Because what I'm worried about is, I think the metal cage itself isn't 100% true, but when you look over here, there's some gaps. And now, is it the metal? Because the metal looks like it goes down there a little bit. Plus, so here's part of the problem, is it's sitting on these little supports. But I can totally take those supports out. Plus, we're sitting on this still. So I got some figuring to do for sure. But first step, I got to open up the top of this thing. So I'm going to try that. All right. I swear I can't do a project without a problem. It's impossible. So I go get my Torx bit that I put in a special place so I wouldn't lose it, because it fits exactly the bolts that come off of these totes, right? Fits. All right. Every other tote I have, which is those 4 plus another one out in the driveway still, use this bit. But apparently, this tote right here does not. It literally is too small, or this bit is too big. And so, of course, that means I have to go to the hardware store to pick up a stupid Torx bit. And I'm kicking myself now, because when I bought this bit, I had the choice, right? I could buy an entire Torx kit with everything you could ever need. And I thought, well, my life at this point, 30 plus years, never needed a Torx bit before. What are the odds I'm going to need more Torx bits? Apparently, I need one other size. And so, yeah, to the hardware store, just so I can keep on this project. Now, in theory, I could lug this tote out, bring the other one in, but that doesn't solve the problem. That solves the problem for right now, but in 2 days, if I want to put another tote in, guess what? Still going to need that Torx bit. So off to the hardware store. I'll be back. I'll grab some lunch too. So I think I got the bit I needed. I found another project too, which I'll probably film at a later date because I gotta collect some more parts, but I think it'll be pretty good, kind of a DIY filter. And I grabbed myself the most unhealthy taco in the world, which is a bacon ranch taco from Jack in the Box. My logic was this: it is Tuesday, and hopefully I can swindle my wife into going to Taco Tuesday. And a bacon ranch taco is clearly different than a normal taco, so that way it's, you know, different food groups. So back to work for me once I finish this taco. Well, we're not alive yet, but we are much closer. Let me show you. So I drilled the tank, which if you don't know how to do that, you can find videos on my website, or not my website, but my YouTube channel. And then cut the top out of this. I have a video for that. I'll put a link right here, roughly. And so now what I gotta do is I gotta let this fill, but I also need to plumb in a way to pump water from the bottom up. I'm also gonna get some air going in here and things like that, which I've got an extra kind of 2-liter bottle. I think I'll do that next. And yeah, I'll chime in as I get it done. So now I gotta fashion a way to pump the water back up top there. You best believe I bought this for $12 at, what is it, Petco? Yeah, I believe Petco. They had it on the clearance, like little rack thing, and it's an Uncle Clear power head for $12. These things are brutal expensive. Yeah, it's only a 402. Yeah, I've been sitting on it for over a year, but now's the time I get my money out of it. Looks like it's 270 gallons per hour. Perfect. I want slow flow. That might actually be a little too much. I might have to dial it back for what I'm trying to do, but yeah, I'm gonna start building that. Just had to show off my $12 find. Even I scout a Petco when I go by. Usually I'm doing market research, seeing what they're doing, making sure that I'm still, you know, destroying them. And yeah, so back to work for me. So here it is, fully operational. I still want to, I want to lower the flow. It's still too high for what I want to do. I want it to be a much slower flow. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. Either slower power head, find a way to restrict the flow more, something like that. You know, the water's flowing just much too fast for what I want it to do. Because if I was to put live blackworms in here, it's going to wash them down through. And you can see here how unlevel my floor is. Like, we're pretty high over here, not so high over here. And you know, I wanted to point something out. There's a reason I plumb this really low. Whenever you're building a prototype, make it customizable. So if I put this bulkhead up here, nothing I can do but keep a high bulkhead. But if I put it down here, I can put an elbow in and make it high. I can get any level I want. But once you have a hole, you know, up here, you don't really want to drill another hole here and then another hole here. It's going to keep weakening it. So I drill one hole low. And yeah, so that's how I go about it. I'm thinking about, I could maybe put like a rock right here. Or maybe even a sponge so that it really deflected that flow. But it's still faster than I want. Maybe if I crimp the hose a bunch? Yeah, if I put like a crimp on this hose, that could do it. So maybe I'll try doing it with this clamp right here. But next, you know, I don't have a whole lot of time today, but next I'm gonna go play with some Daphnia, because why not? So I thought we'd come take a look at the pond out here. Lots of green water. You know, it makes it really hard to see the fish, but I get glimpses of them every once in a while. And you know, time to use some of this green water. So if I take this green water, we can go feed the Daphnia with it. I just want to make sure I don't get any fish, because any fish in that Daphnia will totally negate the whole purpose of having a Daphnia pond. So, you know, got the green water, got to look at it here. I don't see any fish, but we'll watch it while we're emptying it. But now I got to walk over there. So here we are at the tiny little Daphnia pond. It just keeps my culture going. Doesn't produce enough to feed or anything like that. Barely enough, but we're gonna pour this green water in here as good food for it, and so try to pour it slow so it doesn't completely bomb this pond. But you know, don't be afraid of nature. The worse the pond looks, the better it's probably doing, honestly. This is the exact environment blackworms, redworms, and Daphnia thrive in. So you know, what we think is thriving, which is super clean water, is not what most things think of thriving. So with this green water, the green water serves as food, and as it mixes, You can see it kind of, well, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got real cloudy as it mixed. And, you know, that's how you feed it. And, you know, we just saw how I'm going to attempt some blackworms. I've tried that exact same experiment with, I'm drawing a blank, with Daphnia, but I don't think I had big enough cultures and stuff like that, so maybe I'll try that again. The problem with Daphnia is you want the Daphnia, like, the Daphnia are really easy because they're floating in the water to go into the culture that you don't want them to go into, so keeping them separated is the hardest part, where blackworms should stay down low, and I'm hoping I can accomplish that, and then I can recirculate the water. But you know, it's always, in theory, I could use, you know, like this water in here, because there's floating debris where my koi are, and I could cycle that through blackworms or Daphnia and stuff like that. The problem becomes you stop feeding during winter, and all your worms and Daphnia are gonna freeze and things like that. And so that's why I end up always trying to do this culture indoors, so I can have it year round, because to me, it's only half useful if I can only use it half the year. And what I'll do is I'll just end up being dependent on it and then not have it and end up losing fish and things like that. So, you know, these are all experiments, and when I crack the code, I will be sure to share it, as you guys know. So, got 2 more pop bottles in here that aren't running currently, which I can use to set up more of those IBC totes. And yeah, so let's take a trip in the fish room for a bit. So here's my red Russian guppy tank. It's kind of in an abysmal state. I wanted to get it duckweed free. By getting it duckweed free, which it is now duckweed free, we've lost all the tiniest fry. To this guy. This guy is doing work, and you can see he's pooping green. So he's going to help me with this algae and stuff like that, but I want to kind of do a total rehab on this tank, and I didn't want to move the duckweed with the guppies, and so now I could remove the guppies and do a new tank with them, and that's all in the works and plans, so to speak. You know, because I don't want to set up more tanks with duckweed problems. So also, if we go over here, Terrapin Turtle hanging out, doing his thing. But pardon the pan there. Over here, I just brought some goldfish home as well. This guy is doing some work for me. This is an Aranda, nice big one. And over time, I'm hoping I can show you, like, wow, have you seen that he has eaten everything? Like, before, the algae was just like this. So yesterday, the algae was like this, where it's nice and green. Now, it's covered in stuff because goldfish constantly comb everything. So they're going to comb all this substrate, they're going to pick up this algae, they're going to eat it, they're going to do all these types of things, along with his little buddy snail there that are cleaning stuff up. He's really going to, you know, clean this place up long term. It's going to take a couple weeks, so maybe only a week. And then back over here, I have another Ranchu, and he's going to do the same thing. So you can see up here, there's duckweed. He's going to clean that out for me. And yes, I know there's other plants in here. He's going to be fine with that. But this is a big Ranchu. It's not big, but it's pretty big for a Ranchu, let's be real. But he's going to do some work for me, and yeah. So I removed all the algae. I had this big floating algae mass in here with the Liberty Molly tank. And yes, clearly I need to get it a bigger tank, no doubt. But you can see the water's really cloudy. That big algae mass was a big portion of my filtration. And so I basically have made that problem, and it's kind of one of those things, don't be scared of nature, blah, blah, blah. I removed it so I could be like, okay, this is getting a bit ridiculous, getting hard to see the fish. You know, I should, you know, clean this up for YouTube. And it's made the environment here worse overall, so that's no good. Kind of got the same problem down here with duckweed. I've got a goldfish doing work. Problem is, he's eating up all the baby guppies first and not eliminating my duckweed yet. Like, it's thinner, it's certainly thinner, but he hasn't done it yet. So that's never any good. Been starting to feed these guys up a bit. You know, we'll see if I can't spawn them. I need to put something in there for them to spawn on. While I'm standing here, I'll feed this tank some of these. I love these things. These are the wafers with woods, the catfish chips. And I leave them here so I can feed down here. And once they sink, you know, the red bristlenose plecos get it. And what do I got down here? These are the Cracodon lateralis. Just kind of doing their thing still, just trying to keep the temp cool enough so that they don't struggle. Got an auto feeder on here. You can see the dwarf sag starting to spread still, or continuing to spread. There should be a baby in here somewhere. I just don't know where it is currently, but you have to take my word for it. Let's look at some other fun stuff. This is a tank that just needs to show up at the store, basically. I need to take all these guys in, and then I could focus on breeding these bettas if I wanted to. There's the other one there. Looks like he's got a mouthful of fry, actually. His mouth is wide, but some blue-green algae right there. That's no good. I'll have to use some erythromycin to clean that up. But back in here, we put the auto feeder in, and we now again have mouthfuls of babies. The goal is that I've changed it with the auto feeder enough that the babies will raise up, and we won't know that until they're released, you know. So that's what I like to do. Like, I could totally focus in on and make sure none of these guys starve, but I try to set up sustainable systems, and so that's a lot harder to do because you got to watch stuff and go, ooh, that didn't quite do it. Let me go ahead and fix that and change it and do things. Over here, we'll chime in on this tank. This is, one tank at a time, and lots of algae. I need to put a bristlenose or something in here to get the algae off the glass. And they've pulled up a couple, or at least, I can't say they pulled them up. Maybe they floated up because I planted them poorly. But a lot of them are still in here. And it's been 2 weeks at this point. The valve's not looking its greatest, that's for sure. I'm afraid there's not enough light. So that's something I'm gonna have to find out. And it's never fun to fail in front of YouTube, but at the same time, I don't think I can try things otherwise, I could not show you guys and only show you successes, but I think you guys like coming along for the ride here, and I think if I fail right now, it's a lighting thing. Like, I bet I could amp the light up and it would fix anything that's going wrong. And so if it fails, I will do that. Oh wow, they're already breeding. If we look back here, you can see that female, it's got a mouthful of babies. So yeah, yellow labs breed young, so in my opinion, these are very, very poor quality yellow labs, by the way. You can just see like side markings and things like that, which you want them to be really nice yellow, not dirty. And it's actually hard to sex them on a good yellow labs. Males will have nice black pectoral fins and anal fin, and females won't, and it makes it super easy to sex. When you have low quality ones like these, not so easy to sex. So long term, what I'm hoping to do is continually make this strain better. Is there two holding or just one? Looks like just that one. But yeah, I know there's algae. The problem I'm worried about is, like, do I have the right size bristlenose to throw in here? Like, if I put one too little, he's gonna get eaten. So that's always a potential problem. So the other thing I know I need to do in my fish room, if I kind of go over here, is these sponge filters that I just used because they were super cheap when I first built the fish room. They're just garbage. I don't like them. At least not for the maintenance schedule and stuff I want to keep, and I don't have the Never Clog Airstone in there like I want to, so I'm going to be using my Hydro 3 sponges. I just ordered a bunch more. And no matter what I do, I can't get these guys to spawn. I added these rummy noses in there to be dithers. All I can say is maybe not compatible pair, or one sterile or something, because no matter what I do, I can't get them to spawn, whereas I can get them to spawn up above. I don't know what I'm doing with this tank. This is just, I'm passively breeding some black mollies, mostly just to say I'm doing it, because you can see, like, I zoom in here, where'd it go? There's fry up in the weeds here, and there's also shrimp, but I don't know where that fry went. But you don't even have to plant plants, by the way. You can just float them like I am here. These are all crypts that I pulled the crypts out of here to do the other one tank at a time, and you can just float them, and most plants will grow. So these are crypts, even though they're root feeders, they grow just fine out of the water column, and that proves right there that they can get their nutrients out of the water column. It doesn't have to be the substrate, because these have been in here for like 6-8 months. You guys have seen it. So yeah, I need to do something over here. I need to bring more, consolidate more neons into here, and eventually this is going to be a one tank at a time tank. Don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, you know. So let's see, what else? Some thinking I've been doing. Do you guys want to see a one tank at a time, like highlight CO2 setup? I don't know how long I'll run it for, because I just don't like trimming plants that often, but I have all the equipment laying around to do it, because I've done it in the past. But is that something you guys actually want to see happen, or is it like, oh yeah, that'd just be cool, I guess? Because I'd purely be doing it for you guys. I myself have like no interest in doing highlight, high CO2, high maintenance tank, but I could do it just as a, like, here's how I would do it type of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather set up like the discus tank. I'd rather set up a new guppy tank. I'd rather set up a turtle tank. You know, there's a lot of stuff I'd rather do than a highlight CO2 setup. So let's see, what else? This is gonna be on the to-do list soonish. That's what this goodie is here. They just, you know, they need to get some more food. I need to put an auto feeder on there, and they need plants and things like that. So that's on the to-do list as well. Basically what I've been doing lately is I've been compiling a bunch of project stuff. So like today I ordered a Marineland 350 BioWheel filter and another filter, so I can show you guys, like I ordered the quiet one, so it's like the cheapest filter out there, so I can show you guys how to hot rod those and just, you know, make them really efficient compared to how they come straight out of the box. I also I'm going to order an undergravel filter so that I can set one of those up and teach and demonstrate why they're not horrible. Yeah, and I've got another project over there I can show you. This is what the one tank at a time crypt tank currently looks like. You know, no doubt that crypts are slow growers. Not denying that, but yeah, you know, fish are growing. Fish look good. If you go way back to the Select Aquatics video, you remember how small they were. You know, not a ton of spreading or anything like that yet, but the plants themselves are doing just fine. Now, I had some initial melting down because all these leaves had been up at the surface. But yeah, I mean, plants are doing okay. So now it's just a waiting game, really. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, I can come over here, I suppose. Cleared up the green water by turning the light out for 3 days on the Tropheus debosii. They're just growing nice and slow, and want to set up a tank for them, obviously. You know, I'll probably do like a 40 breeder initially, and then maybe I bump it up to something bigger as I grow the colony. So maybe like one of these tanks over here will be one of the Tropheus debosii breeder tanks. And I'm seeing this and I'm laughing. So this outlet right here, I just touched it. That was amazing. I did listen to the comment how it's making this gentleman very uneasy. So I ordered a plate because I never remember to buy one when I'm at the hardware store. So I ordered on Amazon with some other stuff. So it is coming, and I will install that to put you at ease so you don't have to stay up at night going, oh my god, he's going to electrocute himself. But yeah, let's see here. I think I said on the live stream that this guy killed off his female. I was 1 day late. You know, so that's unfortunate because I saw a little bit of beating up going on, and then it's like, oh, maybe, and the next day just totally dead. So that was bad. You can see here we're starting to get what's called some racers, and what racers are in the fish breeding world. A racer is out of the batch of fry. There's always some that are just naturally faster eaters, faster growers, that type of thing. And as they grow, they continue to get further and further ahead, because when they get a little bit bigger, now they can eat a little bit bigger food that no one else could, so they get even more food. And pretty soon you might get a fish that's this big and the rest are this big. And that's what we've got going on with the convicts at the moment. You know, Dad's tending to them, but you can see lots of very small fry still. Yeah, no doubt there. But then, let me find some of the bigger ones. Like in the back, you start seeing some of these fry are getting much bigger. And there was some, like right in front here. Like those guys are monsters compared to the guys next to them. Like they actually look like convicts now compared to like that guy right next to it. And those ones are even bigger than these ones right in front here. But yeah, they're just picking at my small fish food, you know, that comes in the dispenser here. And I feed it to, you know, basically all my tetras, fry, live bears, stuff like that. It's on the website. You guys can order if you want it. Down in this tank down here, just got lots of, you know, lots of algae. Haven't put anything in here of fear of it getting killed by, you know, the fish are in here, which is not flower horns, I'm retarded, fire mouse and dovi. And so you can see, let me see if I can't move some stuff around here. Fish are definitely growing, there's no doubt. I probably have a fish in here. Oh no, no one took up cave in there. But you can see, you know, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did we end up losing a fish, or am I missing one? So you can see the dovi, the long skinny one there. And then you can see, you know, these guys are starting to color up and fire mouth up, if you will. But yeah, that's more or less going pretty good. Down here I put a little line of sight block because I noticed some of them were starting to not pair off, but starting to color up in the males. Now you can see right up front here, here's one fish. And you've got one in the back. I suspect that's a male. I suspect the dominant male's camping out the sponge filter right there. And so, you know, well, the dominant male actually might be right in front here. You see him? And so it might be male there, male back there. Could be a female up here. It's hard to say at this point. They're still relatively small, but those are all projects in the waiting, you know. I'm unsure what's going on up here. They look like male female, but he keeps her just pinned to the corner all the time, and they're not breeding, so, you know, I'm not sure what to do about that. I should probably change, you know, I need to change how their tank is set up, but this is my disaster where they've been overheating. You know, I've got the one female left, and you know, it just hasn't been good in here. And I do have fry though, so there's always hope when you have fry. Like you can see in the corner there, you know, I do have fry, so that's always a good sign. But I lost some of the adults to heat, and that's me not being prepared for that fish. You know, I thought since the other Goodeids were doing fine that they would do fine, and clearly they're not. So, you know, that's my bad. That's, you know, that's on me. I'm not saying that's on anyone else but me. That's me screwing up with a rare fish, but hopefully I can keep it going. And your eyes look okay. I thought maybe the eyes were a little bugged out or something. Maybe if I bring the light forward. I mean, you look fine. What? Maybe I'll turn this cave. I'll turn this cave this way. Which I say cave, it's actually a sponge filter, but he's using it as a cave, so maybe out of sight, out of mind. And then up here, I cleaned a little bit of algae, so the glass is going to be or the water is going to be all foggy, but, you know, still chiming on the discus, still in kind of quarantine / feeding / making sure they're healthy before I, you know, before I build a tank for them. And I don't know what tank I'm going to build for them yet. Is it, you know, mega tank? Which mega tank makes a little bit of sense because I have power right there that's always on. Whereas like one of these two tanks, the power is at the ceiling, but it's on the switch. And so I'd always have to leave the switch on. And I kind of like having shop lights that I can turn on and off. But yeah, here's a really expensive thing of fish food. This is the discus granules that I feed to a lot of my fish. And, you know, the ingredients are insane. That's what I like about it. It's a little bit messy to feed. When I started feeding it every single day with auto feeders, that's what was turning my water red. But what I like about it, if we get over to here, is, let's see here, it's the spirulina algae, yep, but then it's got gramaris meal, which I think that's awesome, green lip mussels, and the key ingredient that makes the fish want to eat it is the stinging nettle. That's been a long time kind of shrimp breeder secret. And, you know, obviously the Germans picked up on that, and they've been using it for a long time, but, you know, this food is amazing in that almost anything will eat it. It's pretty darn high quality. The only problem is it's expensive, which I myself, you know, I would rather feed a high quality food than a non-high quality food. So even though it only says it's for discus, so to speak, you know, put some in there, and I feed it to everything, even the convict fry and stuff like that. But these guys, I've been really spoiling them on worms, so they take like 5 or 10 minutes before they start eating that, because they watch me going, hey, whenever you show up, you bring us worms. So if I back away, maybe they'll start eating that. But what else do I got going on in the fish room? I'm gonna bring all these cherry barbs into the store. And this is what I mean, like this tank right here couldn't be more stable. It's got all this algae and stuff like that. This is a perfect tank to set up for shrimp right here. You put shrimp in here, they're gonna start cleaning it. There's infinite food. They would really thrive. And then down here, this is gonna be one of the series, one tank at a time, the cherry shrimp tank, except it's taken months to do it because I wanted it to actually be dialed in. And I had to put fish in here, so there's 100 neon tetras in this 20-gallon tank. And, you know, well, you don't know it yet because you haven't seen any of the video, but I put lots of waste in here. There's like a half-inch layer that I wanted to settle down into the substrate, which you can see that it is done right there. And you know, I got some snails in here, and I've got the algae growing on top of the dragon stone, which I wanted that as well. So I have tons of surface area now. And I dropped this is one of the dwarf lily bulbs. All I did was drop it in there, and it's growing obviously, and it will grow, and it'll grow a lot more. But I ended up selling the plant that was in there because people ordered so many I had to. But I'll put more in there. But I'm gonna do, you know, finish up planting this and introducing shrimp and moving these guys out, and that'll be one of the tanks of just how to really set up a shrimp tank. And you know, in the video I go over you know, the difference between a seasoned tank and a cycled tank, and what makes shrimp thrive and what doesn't, and all these things. And it's, you know, it's you'll pick up tips like you guys always do. You know, when I'm setting up a tank, I talk about more things than I normally would, because you don't think of everything when someone says like, tell me everything you need to know. I remember this experiment from when I was a kid in like probably 2nd grade. We had to write a little paper on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or write the directions how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And every kid did it, and the teacher had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or stuff to make it, and she would make it based on the directions. And of course, when you're like in 2nd grade, you don't think of things like, oh, when you put jelly on one side and peanut butter on the other side, make sure they go inside so that both of them touch are on the inside. And so you leave out all these things you take for granted, and it's made me realize that that experiment from 2nd grade is happening here with my fish room. When I physically do something, I show things and talk about things that I would forget if you said, tell me how to set something up, when I just list point A, point B, point C, point D. Turns out there was 5 other points that I missed. And so I think it's a good exercise when I actually do it, as opposed to just telling you guys how I would do it, because lots of tips. So yeah, I think that might be it for today. I mean, this is, what time is it? I gotta do some things. I got a Skype call I gotta do with someone. I gotta edit. I gotta watch Katie Tropical's live stream, which is later tonight. Taco Tuesday. Hopefully I can convince the wife. We'll see how that goes. But hopefully you guys enjoy it. You know, I feel like I got something done because I invented something. You know, like it's not just, I don't get excited to go, yep, tank number 22 set up, yay, you know, but something new, because I had to use my brain and go, ooh, how am I going to do this? So that was fun for me. But hopefully you guys are enjoying this. And oh, I didn't get a wife tank update, but not much changed. But I got to order the lights. That's what I got to do. She'll love that. But thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Make sure you join me in the live streams. And yeah, thanks for the support.